Hello, friends. Today is day 4, and we are doing part 2 out of how many, I don't really know how many parts, of my vinyl collection of my favorite albums that are in my vinyl collection, that is. If you haven't seen the first one, that's day 3, previous video, obviously. Um, I'm just going to get into it. We're not going to waste any time. So, if you remember, the next album I was going to talk about was Janelle Monáe. So let me pull it up for you. Wait a minute. This isn't Janelle Monáe. What is this? This is an album I forgot to put in my pile over there, out of my favorite albums. And this one snuck past me because, as you can see, it's quite hard to read the spine because there is no spine. Also, this one has plastic on it. Now, the plastic isn't on it because I haven't opened it. The plastic is on it because I'm scared of getting this thing damaged. Because if you don't know, Godspeed You, Black Emperor, is a band that does a lot of really interesting stuff. Incredibly interesting music that you don't really hear very often. Very high quality and very dark. And with this album, it's about how horrible capitalism is. I think. There's a whole thing to it that's really hard to understand. But these albums, this is F sharp, A sharp, Infinity, by the way. Um, and every single release on vinyl, at least, I'm pretty sure, is made by hand, which is insane. Like, that's absolutely crazy. And they're not even that expensive. So if you want to get one of these, you should, because they're really cool. Even if it's used, these were made by real human hands to really make the album not ironic, because like you hear all these releases by, Rage Against the Machine or more like System of a Down, or like steal this album and whatnot. But they still got, a company to create it in a possibly not well-paying job in a different country. But this, they do it themselves, man. Um, as you can see, there's a bit of like a signature on the back, I think. And there's also this code at the bottom that tells you which version or like which one out of the many that were made. This is kind of a newer running, so this is not very expensive. But, it has a lot of goodies inside of it and a lot of really unique stories. And also, they all have one of 3 different pictures on the front. And I have the one that has the water tower on it. Then the other ones are a train, and then another one is a lamp post or billboard. I can't really remember. But this is an amazing album, and it's hard for me to get really into detail about it because it's a long drone and it's very dark, and there's definitely ups and downs that go on. But I will say, um, Dead Flag Blues is one of my favorite songs of all time. I'll just say that now. I'm not gonna say anything more. Listen to this album, maybe on like a dark car ride home or somewhere else. Or on a plane in the darkest of nights. Don't listen to it during the day. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know where to put it. I have a lot of stuff on my desk here. I got coffee and a sandwich I haven't finished yet. All right, now we're gonna talk about Janelle Monáe. And boy, howdy, is there a lot to say about this album. So, there's a bit of a story to this album. So this is the sequel to a previous album called Metropolis Suits Suit 1. So this looks like it could be like a soundtrack to something, and that's kind of the point. Janelle Monáe is a pop artist who does a little bit of R&B, a little bit of rap, a little bit of that kind of those kind of genres are pretty wildly appealing, but she puts a spin on it that is like a musical, a Broadway musical. Very theatrical, very theater core, but it's in a way that's super charming and appealing. It has a lot of style. It's got a Art Deco inspired cover here, and you know, like the movie Metropolis. It's pretty similar in terms of its style. Um, and it's about this character named Cindy May. Wait, is that her name? Cindy. Cindy. Oh, dang, I can't remember this character's name, but that's the titular character. Um, and this is suites 2 and 3, and I would love to have all of them. However, this series still hasn't been finished, and it makes me so mad. It makes me really angry that it hasn't been finished. I like Janelle Monáe. I will support her um, no matter what style of music she's going for. But her newest album, I'm not really into. And the one before that, I'm also not really into. Even with that little movie she made, Dirty Computer, kind of cool. Lots of production value. Um, it has some cool styles in it, but I'm still disappointed, man. Still disappointed. I just want this to be finished. And yeah, this is what the back looks like. And then in the is a gatefold. It's got 2 vinyls. A lot of variety on this album. Um, you get this. Another big element of this album is it's very LGBTQ supportive because it's basically a story about robots living in normal society that aren't allowed to have emotions or they can't love humans and they can't really even do anything. It's kind of a parallel to racism and homophobia and biphobia and all these other things because Janelle Monáe is a bi queen. And let me see if I can find the name of the character. It's on the cover. Um, oh geez. I'm not gonna read all this out loud because there's some phrases in here that are kind of intense. Cindy Mayweather. So it's Mayweather. But yeah, she was one of the robots that has emotions. This is from what I got from the albums. I don't like reading a synopsis, a plot summary. I want to figure it out as I listen. But from what I can tell, Metropolis, the Suite 1, is about Cindy Mayweather being a robot that has emotions, and she gets hunted down by some bounty hunters. And she manages to escape, gets injured, and then eventually gets caught and then dismantled, and it becomes a huge travesty to the robots of Metropolis. And then this album is the sequel after Cindy's death. But she manages to live on in the spirits of the robots, and the rights are still really poor. The crime is really bad still. The suffering is still going on, but they're finding ways to persevere through the night. And that's what I interpret this album as. It's really good. I recommend listening to all 3 of them. It's Metropolis, ArchAndroid, and then the Electric Lady. Some people are not as crazy about the Electric Lady, but I think there's moments on it that really shine. Um, but I'll wait to talk about that another time. Next up is Kendrick Lamar to Pimp a Butterfly. This is possibly one of the most popular albums I own currently. You've probably already listened to it. A lot of people have, and if you haven't, well, you should. There's not too much to spoil, really, but it's a really good rap album that has jazz elements and R&B elements. And it's about Kendrick Lamar's experiences with the black community in a lot of different ways, but also his rise to fame, because he got especially popular after this release, and then after this was Damn, which was a hugely popular release. Um, and every song on this hits super hard. The sound of it super high quality. A lot of the guest performances on it are amazing. It makes me want to cry listening to some of the songs. One of the best album openers and one of the best album closers are on here, being Wesley's Theory and Mortal Man. I like what Kendrick has to say on this album. So many good tracks. It's just, ugh, so good. It's like the perfect black and white album to me. I guess Twin Fantasy is kind of black and white as well, but this has the aesthetic of, you know, seeing black communities thrive in the best way they can in black and white, and like that's what I think of when I listen to this. I really love it. Really fantastic album, and you should listen to it if you haven't. It's #1 rated on Rate Your Music for a reason, because it's so good, and it's widely accessible, and it's just an easy listen. It's so good. Oh yeah, it is a gatefold, by the way. Um, they don't make stuff for us Greasons. Really hard to be particular. Took us a long time to evolve. There we go. Yeah, that's a lot of credits. All those lines, those are credits, which is crazy. A lot of people helped with this release. I also love the album cover for this, and I way prefer it over the 10th anniversary version, where it just has a butterfly on it. This is a much better cover. I'm sorry. It's just really great. I love seeing, it's a really good photo. And all the different, like, it's like a huge variety of different bodies and characters on it. I love it. Next up, turns out I was lying. Kendrick Lamar also has Untitled and Mastered. I got this from Zio Records, by the way, for $23. This album actually came out after To Pimp a Butterfly, but it's not technically not an album. To me, it is. It kind of works, and it has some ideas in it that make it feel like its own release. But it's a B-side of To Pimp a Butterfly in a sense. It's kind of messy, but in a good way. Um, and it has really unique production that sets itself apart from To Pimp a Butterfly and a lot of Kendrick Lamar's music in general. Like nothing really sounds like this in his discography except this. This is like such an outlier. I can see why it didn't make it. Any of the stuff in it didn't make it into T-Pad because it'd make it very unfocused. But there's a lot of hard-hitting tracks on this. But they're all called Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I think that works for some albums out there. For this one, though, I think they are too unique to be named like this. Each one. That's just my take, however. Something like One Wayne G by Mac DeMarco. Each song is just titled the date the song was made. I think that works in that scenario because, he sometimes tinkers with tracks he's already made. And he's also, it's just a bunch of sounds he likes to put together. But there's a ton of really unique lyrics and super unique production for each song. I don't think this really works for it, I'm sorry to say. But it is kind of mysterious, and it's probably the effect Kendrick was going for. Next up um, is quite a doozy. Yeah, I don't know which way is the front way. I think it's like, no, wait, this is upside down. There we go. King Cruel's The Ooze. This cover might not seem very special. It just looks like a line on a blue. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. You can tell I'm frozen. I'm not supposed to be. Hold on. Give this Greason a minute. I should have just paused the recording. But I didn't. You have to listen to me fiddle around with the plugs. Thank you, Allura Tech, for being trash. Sorry, not sorry. Hold on. Let me pause. Give me a minute. And I'm back. Sorry about that. I blame it on the camera. Not on myself for being lazy and not getting a new camera. But yes, The Ooze. This is an album by King Cruel, who is one of my favorite musicians, or poets of all time. I like to call him a poet, because why not? You know, I think it's a good thing to describe him as. I'm gonna close these tabs. Are you serious? Did it? God, did it freeze again, man? All right, hold on. Hi. Let's move on, shall we? So The Ooze, made by King Cruel, one of my favorite musicians and poets. And he has one of my favorite discographies of all time. I think a lot of his albums are hard hitters. And this is his third, technically, or fourth, if you really want to count his Zoo Kid album. But Archie Marshall is a really good like just artist in general. He knows how to do a lot of really unique styles. And his first album being I don't know what the first album's name is, but it's the one with the plane on it, and it's not under King Cruel's name. It's under Zoo Kid's name. But I never actually I haven't listened to that album enough to remember it. But there was a couple of early versions of songs that were on 6 Feet Beneath the Moon, which is his first true album, but before that there was the King Cruel EP, which I also have on vinyl. And that album's really great. It's really short. It's got really nice sound to it, and it kind of just sends me on an emotional, well, not really emotional, but like a visual journey when I listen to it. Sorry. And then 6 Feet Beneath the Moon, I was thinking about adding to this pile, but I don't think that's one of my favorite albums. This one is really great. This is one I connect to probably the most. To me, this album is about Archie Marshall's upbringing in a not so nice situation, whether it be family or the neighborhood he lived in. And it's interesting hearing it from a United Kingdom citizen's perspective, because I don't really hear that very often. Like I would have just assumed, oh, only Americans have that problem, right? No, it happens everywhere, man. And this album cover being a plane that's like jettisoning out like a line behind it, not a chemtrail, but um, is kind of a unique perspective, because it's kind of like saying, man-made objects are cutting the sky in half, in a sense, is sort of how I view it, and that's a big theme of a lot of King Cruel's music. It's also very much explored on Man Alive, when he like jokingly, in a sense, brings up chemtrails, um, as a like, like what if that was the case? I guess like, nature upon us is kind of getting fucked over by stuff like this. And obviously I don't believe in chemtrails, but there's a way to explain it that I'm not doing it super well. I don't think King Cruel believes in chemtrails either, but it's an interesting concept for sure. And this is a gatefold. This is definitely his longest album by far. Much longer than Space Heavy, much longer than Man Alive, much longer than 6 Feet Beneath the Moon. And the inside of it looks very pretty. I love the aesthetic it has going on. It has a lot of people that helped make it. Um, and there's a lot of unique tracks on it. A lot of variety. It's a big thing I like about my favorite albums, if you couldn't tell already. And I don't know, it just takes me to a very dark, dreary place, and that's something I really appreciate about it. Um, as well as just the emotional moments really hit, especially with like the title track, for example. Um, So yeah, I really like the Ooze, and I think, you know what? I'm gonna give myself a challenge. A challenge. I'm not gonna mention this person ever. You might know who I'm talking about, but I am not gonna mention the one you're thinking of, possibly right now. The one who may have given this album a not so good view. I'm not gonna mention him ever. And by the way, it's not because I hate them, it's because I actually like him. But it's just every music YouTuber always brings them up. I'm never gonna do it. Starting now. Next up is a special one. 1 second. It's my one and only box set. And I think this will be my last one for the day. There will be a part 3. That should be the last one. But this is a white box. Wait, what is that? Oh, what is that? Actually, I'm surprised that shows up on camera. Wow. Most of you probably don't know what this is. But this is an album that I really like. It is called 64 apostrophe dash 95 apostrophe, also known as 64 to 95, referring to the years 1964 and 1995, by Lemon Jelly. I never tried Lemon Jelly. It seems pretty nice from what I've heard. But Lemon Jelly is a trip hop artist and one of my favorite artists of all time. I think all 3 of their albums are super hard hitters, really effective for me, make me go on spiritual journeys in a weird sense. And this is definitely one of them. This is an album that heavily samples specific songs from each time period. And this is one of the coolest releases I own. And I was very lucky to see this online. It used to be like $400 because Lemon Jelly's albums are so freaking expensive. I want all of them, but that'd be like $500 just for 2 vinyls because they're on indefinite hiatus, and they're probably never gonna release them on physical ever again, which is really sad, man. Really, really sad. Yeah, they're a British electronic duo, and they definitely had a lot of fun with this. And if you compare it to a normal sized vinyl, you can tell it's much smaller, but it has a ton of vinyls in it because each song is like super special in its own way. I'm going to show you each and every aesthetic for each song because each song has its own aesthetic. All right. Hold on. So you have this for the first track, and then this for the second track. And they have the art depicted on them on the sticker on each vinyl. They're very small vinyls. Usually I don't really pull these out, but I just want to show you how cool this release is. Another thing is the people I bought this from, I kind of wish I could remember them. I want to give them a shout out. They sent it very nicely, and they also even put in the sticker it came with on the plastic wrap. And I thought that was like such a charming thing to do. I really liked that. You know, this, and then there's this. What else is there? It's really hard to take these out one by one. There's that. And there's that. And each of these tracks are based on different styles of music for each year it's come out. So there's like, 1965, and then there's 1988. There's that. This is based on the 70s. This one's based on, I think, the late 60s with electronic music. Yeah, it's super special. And I think the last one has the actual album cover on it, because the album cover isn't just white on white. It's actually got, it ends on a pretty cool closer, if you couldn't tell. And then here's the actual album cover, which is a really cool album cover because it actually shows each year it's based on. So like, 64, but you also can see 95. You can also see 75 in there. Sometimes you can kind of see 94 in there. If you put it to the side, you can see 64. I don't actually that wouldn't make any sense. Whatever. All I'm saying is it's cool, and also has the logo for Lemon Jelly in there too. And it's just really special. Like, I didn't even know that each song was supposed to be depicted on the different art styles. I thought that was just so neat. But yeah, I was not looking forward to showing that one because it's really hard to. It's really difficult. But yeah, Lemon Jelly have a lot of fun with their releases, and I'm so sad to see them go. But Fred Deacon is still out there making music. Well, I guess they made an album in 2022. It was kind of underwhelming. They were going for a kind of similar to Janelle Monáe. They were making a soundtrack to a theater production, but I think it only got played once at one British theater. So obviously I couldn't show up for that since I live in American. But that's all I'm going to talk about for now. I guess to give a sneak peek of the next one. This one will be kind of harder to find, I imagine, for those of you who don't know me. But this might be a little bit, oh, not that. This might be a little bit of a teaser, but also, I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all you're gonna get. Those are 2 more albums I'll be talking about next. But yeah, this is, I guess I don't know if I mentioned this already, actually. The Lemon Jelly box set is definitely my favorite vinyl-related thing I own. As a spoiler for the rest, but yeah. It's not my favorite album, like my favorite album out of all these, but it's one of them. But yeah, thank you for watching. This is day 4. Tomorrow will be day 5, and I'll be doing part 3. Oh, it froze too. No, I'm just sitting very, very still, actually. But it will be part 3 of my favorite albums I own on vinyl. Thank you all for watching, and I need to get a new camera.